what's going on. So I got to ask, was Burt Reynolds a good actor, great actor, or was it the image? Or was he average? Um, if I was going to talk about Burt Reynolds like that, and I watched his movies growing up, it's a funny story because his movies were really popular. He was kind of like, how do I say this? He was like a double Junior Whopper broke Clint Eastwood, Charles Bronson, but had charisma, which worked. It was like he had a leading man persona and he had this smart aleck humor, which people liked, down home, good old boy vibe, but it worked. He had an uncanny ability to connect. It was kind of like a combination good old boy redneck vibe, but yet it had a charm, the southern drawl charm that people like, you know, and it worked. I mean, it really did work. I mean, he made movies, Smokey and the Bandit. He had huge sequels and movies and people liked it. But yet no one ever claimed him as one of the best actors or a good actor. It's just that he was charismatic. Sometimes he just had that kind of knack for appeal. So I would say he was actually more average, but he had big time roles which were iconic, which makes the films good to great. And then he sold an image, and it just worked. North Dallas 40 with him and Chris Christopherson, um, Sally Fields, but they were in a relationship, and that was crazy. And he just had this kind of thing. Deliverance, of course, if you know about Deliverance, that was a trip out movie. Sharky's Machine. He could play like these different roles. Now, Boogie Nights was his big comeback, and that was a trip out role. And he just kind of like was one of those kind of characters that just kind of hit in ways that you couldn't even really put into perspective because it was like it was mediocre, but yet it worked in a way because of his charisma and his charm and persona that it hit. So I can't, I mean, I'm trying to think, like if there was an average musical artist that's out, but they happen to have big records and then they have appeal and charisma, and then people are like, oh, yeah, you know, and they really don't even know how the person got over, but it worked in such a way that you can't deny. So he had an uncanny ability to hit and connect, and that was the charm of it, you know. So it's a pretty good question because does he fall into the average to good? And I say he falls more in the average with some good, but he had some great roles that worked, and it sold the image. So if you understand all of that, that means that realistically, if we're going by the acting grade and how people look at you, no one's gonna really say this guy is one of the greats. But what they will say, he was one of the most charismatic people of his generation. He definitely had charisma. He had something that enabled him to hit. Whereas there were cats that were actually could run circles around him in their sleep, but they couldn't sell a ticket if their life depended on it. Even with half off and the door open, and all you gotta do is basically buy the popcorn and drink. They don't have that in them. So he had that ability. But anyway, let me know what you think. Burt Reynolds, average, good, great, or was it the image as an actor? Please like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands. Keep your mind clear. Watch out for another. Share it if you like. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. I'm out one time. Peace.